Welcome everyone to Not Just AI podcast. My name is Pranay Agrawal. I'm a co-founder and CEO at Fractal. At Fractal, we want to convert AI excitement into enterprise performance. And we do that by solving the most important problems for organizations, from product innovation to customer experience, revenue growth, and cost management using AI engineering and design. Today, I have the pleasure of hosting with me Ramnik Bajaj. Ramnik is the Chief Data and Analytics Officer at USAA, one of the most respected and prestigious companies in the financial services vertical, because they do the great job of meeting the financial needs of active duty service members, veterans, and their family members. Prior to USAA, Ramnik was at Wells Fargo, again in their data and analytics organization leadership. And before that, he spent 21 years at Deloitte Consultancy, helping financial services institutions drive better outcomes using technology. Ramnik has an engineering degree from IIT Delhi and a master's from Stanford. Welcome, Ramnik. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Pranay. Good to be here.
Wonderful. So let's start off this talk by a little bit about your career. You have had a fantastic journey through some very, very prestigious organizations, and you had a distinct phase of your career in consulting, and then you worked with two really strong financial services brands. So what have you learned through these distinct phases of your career?
Yeah, indeed. Well, I'm always learning, so that doesn't stop. And that will continue, especially now with the pace of change. There's always learning, both in technical fields, how we lead our people, how we motivate and grow our people, and of course the industry itself is always evolving, and probably more radically so going into the future. But the career journey has been certainly fast, I would say. It's a blink of an eye. But consulting was great. It gave me a good inner view into the workings of a lot of the financial services companies across the US and globally, on the core platforms, on the core technologies, and then starting with the financial crisis, increasingly so in data and analytics, because that came into prominence, and the importance of having right data and being able to do analytics and being able to do good analytics fast. That became such an important problem. AI has been in financial services, especially banking, and also in P&C and underwriting and so forth. It's been kind of a core business function for us all along. So that was a great background, both in breadth and depth, into financial services. And both of my roles previously at Wells Fargo as the CDAO and now here as the data analytics and AI officer, I think give you a good view of running an organization versus solving technical and business problems for organizations. So no complaints.
Wonderful. And if you say one reason why you decided to shift from consulting to corporate?
Very persuasive people.
Okay.
Persuaded me to switch. But no, I think certainly it was very rewarding to do the work that I did back at Deloitte, and opportunity to transform organizations and really rebuild a lot of the technology and functions. But it's a different perspective sitting in the chair that I do, and kind of taking that very long horizon view of how to mold and prepare the business for what is coming, not just in the next 2, 3, 5-year horizon, but an even longer term. And that's a unique opportunity.
Fantastic. So solving from the outside to solving from within, advising to running, and then, just specific problem solution oriented to taking a much longer term view of how to drive impact. I think that's how I understand what you just said.
Indeed.
So switching to the industry that you're in, can you tell us what are, in your opinion, some of the key challenges and key opportunities in the financial services industry, which includes insurance and banking and life and all of the areas?
Yeah. That's right. At USAA, we are unique in that we have under one umbrella, not just all of consumer banking, but also property and casualty insurance and life insurance. And that puts us in a very unique position to be able to essentially cater to all the financial services needs of our members. And what that means for myself and all of us as leaders here at USAA is that we are tackling all that's going on in all of these industries, right? Banking that evolves fast, and consumer banking, especially with changing consumer expectations, but also PNC and life insurance. And I think especially where we are today with all of the advances in generative AI, there's a very unique opportunity in property and casualty insurance, which hasn't quite been the case. I mean, digital and certainly technology offered a lot to PNC, but a lot of PNC runs on unstructured data, right? Banking, a lot of the data got structured decades ago, right? We had ISO standards for card transactions, for ACH transactions, for financial transactions, for even account information. Everything had a data standard associated with it. So the data that we compute on, that we have to process, is largely structured. With PNC, that even today is not the case, right? If you think of any of the core data that PNC has to handle, first notice of loss is typically a verbatim from the insurer. There's a police report. Those aren't standard across the states. There are home inspection reports. Those are written based on some state standards, but for the most part, they're free-form text written by the inspector. So when you get into a lot of the data that PNC needs to process, it's very unstructured, and that then requires a lot of human effort to read through very long claim files or very large reports. And so I think the challenges and opportunities, and those are two sides of the same coin. Usually, it's the challenge is the opportunity. It's the opportunity to overcome the challenge and differentiate and compete. So the challenges and the opportunities for all of these industries, I think, I would say number one is just the pace of change. Because of how fast technology is evolving and the kind of power that technology is giving for these industries, the pace of change is fast and is only going to get faster. And that's pace of change of technology, but also pace of change of business. Because think about now, if we have all the power of this technology at our hands, then the companies that are able to avail of it are going to be able to not just improve their operational efficiency and lower the cost of product, but also innovate in the core products itself, right? So let me give you an example. At USAA, we offer a product which is, we call it Safe Pilot, which is behavior-based insurance combined with also usage-based insurance, right? So to be able to offer a product of that kind and to be able to give discounts on premiums based on driving behavior or usage, not just requires capturing all of that data, but then being able to continuously analyze and process that, right? So to make sure that we are matching the premium discounts to where we see a risk reduction from the insurance policies, right? So the pace of change is right now showing up in the technology, but I think it'll move quickly into pace of change of business, where in the competitive environment, those that are taking full advantage of it are able to bring their operational efficiencies up, lower the cost of product, bring a lot of innovation to the market. And we have to, as participants and leaders in this industry, we have to stay competitive with all of that. I think cyber risk and fraud for financial services particularly remain a challenge and an opportunity, right? There's these same tools that are in our hands are in the hands of bad actors as well.
Yes, of course.
So we see a lot of increase in fraud rates. We need to stay ahead of that game. We need to fight fire with fire, right? So
Yeah.
AI is the tool in the hands of the bad actors to propagate fraud. We have to have AI on our side
Yeah.
to do a much better job of monitoring, correlating events, detecting fraud, and then putting a stop to it, and of course, preventing it right ahead of time. And cyber risk continues to grow as well. I think all of this also means that our workforce and our organizations need to keep evolving. We have to keep retraining our people. We have to rethink our structures that allow us to move at the pace that the
Yeah.
industry and the technology is moving. So never a dull moment in our lives.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you very much. So if I sort of summarize what you said insurance is ultimately an information business. And in contrast with banking, insurance has been a business of a lot of unstructured data. And therefore, all of these advancements in technology are helping the insurance companies make more meaning, more sense out of this unstructured data quickly, and therefore improving the speed to serve the customers, as well as doing better risk assessment, which should eventually drive down the cost of the product itself. Um, as a consumer today in the US, one of the biggest issues with is the rise of cost of insurance, whether it's in auto or whether it's in home. And what I'm hearing you say is that with the help of AI, insurance companies should be able to reduce the cost to serve, both as it relates to risk as well as it relates to administration of the insurance.
Yeah, definitely there's room for a lot more operational efficiency in
Mhm.
all of the stages of the life cycle, and better risk management as well. And equally, there's room for personalization, right? So
Mhm.
very specifically, both quantifying and then managing the risk. Now, there's a lot we are also doing in kind of monitoring the home, for example, for water leaks and so forth, right? So
Yeah.
it's preventing damage versus just insuring it, right? And equally with more telematics from the car, kind of moving more towards preventing any of the damage to happen. And then if and when it does, then of course the efficiency around processing all of what
Okay,
comes
wonderful,
from.
wonderful. So you added a third dimension to it, which is of using technology to reduce risk in the business in the first place. So risk reduction, better risk assessment, and better operational efficiency, all of these enabled through AI
That's right. Let me
or
give you,
technology more
yeah.
broadly. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so a couple things that we have actually brought to market. From aerial imagery, we can identify if there's brush that's close to a house, right?
Hmm.
And just cutting back the brush another 50 feet, it can make a big difference to the fire risk for a
Yeah.
property.
Yeah.
We certainly advise our members when we see opportunities like that. We also often find there are portions of the property that are not part of our policy yet, right? There might be a barn or a secondary house or another structure. So all of those kind of things, we are proactive in identifying and then advising our members on both reducing the risk and then where possible also reducing the premium that they have to pay.
Yeah. You know, I read some of the interviews and things you have said in the past. One of the things that you said is that business alignment is as important as technical excellence. So, could you elaborate a little bit around that and also tell us how you decide where to spend the energy of the organization?
Yeah, so I think ultimately these are business processes that are running in our organization, and thousands of times a day, we are processing claims or we are taking our calls from our members and so forth. And while we can build out these solutions, the automations and so forth, the last mile of integrating them into the business process itself, that's where the value comes out, right, for the business.
Right.
And so we have to work with our businesses not just to identify the hard problems or the things where we can improve the operational efficiency or improve the speed of the operation to give a more delightful experience back to our members. We have to work to not just identify those use cases, but then also work with the business organizations to integrate that change into the business process and retrain the workforce based on the new process. I think there's a lot today that technology can do to augment our workers, right? To augment all of our workforce and what they need to do, to take away some of the operational activity and allow them to focus more on the experience that we are giving to our members, or focus more on the value-added portions of their process, right? So all of that requires hand-in-glove kind of collaboration with our business partners. Without that, none of this sees the light of the day. And to your point about kind of how we prioritize and pick those specific use cases. So for us, we've set up an AI council.
Okay.
The AI Council is the body that helps to both prioritize things that are coming from the field, so call it bottoms-up innovations, but also gives top-down guidance, right? So strategically, as a business, as a company, what are the areas that we want to invest in, that we want to radically transform or rethink top-down, so that we can have a good balance of both of those going, and then everything that we either pilot and then take from pilot into implementation, we know ahead of time that the business case for that is strong and that we will get the value from that. Now, in that same council where we assess the business value, we also assess the feasibility of solving that with the level of maturity of technology we have today, right? So there's a lot that the AI, specifically the foundational models, can do, but if it's not to the degree of reliability that we would need to implement into a production solution for a conservative company in a regulated industry, right? It's important that we achieve that degree of reliability. If we don't believe that it's feasible to achieve a degree of reliability with these solutions today, then in the same council, the technology voice in the room will kind of say, yep, great idea, good business value, don't think we can do it yet, right? So
Understand.
let's defer it.
So the sort of, dual axis of business value or importance and feasibility to achieve it, right? And of course, all of this requires, the execution requires investment. And therefore, the process of convincing the CFO or laying out the business case, right? So how does that process work? And so what you've just described is sort of, I think, your intake process with the business. And then you would also need to lay out the use case to, or the value case to get the budgetary sign-offs.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So in the same council, we have representation, of course, from the businesses through their presidents, but also the CFO, also our legal risk and compliance teams, because it's important for us to evaluate upfront if there are either compliance, regulatory challenges, or if there could be just more ethics, privacy, or other challenges for which we would not want to implement those use cases. And then technology determining the feasibility. From the CFO side, we have a pretty robust value framework that we apply to these use cases to figure out if we can get adequate value. It could be revenue, it could be expense, it could be.
Typically, what's the kind of return you're seeking, and in what time frame?
For most of what we are able to do today, the timeframes are short, anywhere from 1 to 3 years return.
Okay.
Because one of the radical new things with these technologies are they're much easier to implement,
Yes,
not as capital intensive as
that's right.
prior,
And 3 years
transformers.
is too long now, I guess, because everything's
Yeah,
changing so fast, as you said
yeah.
at the beginning. Yeah.
So look, in our traditional AI models, when we were doing machine learning models primarily, the payback was often 8x within 1 year, right? So
Yeah.
$1 of investment leading to 8 times that annualized
Yeah.
starting in year two. With the newer technologies, we are even seeing shorter cycles than that. Some of the solutions, one of the big solutions we rolled out is a AI assistant available to our member service representatives. So these are our
Yeah. Yeah.
colleagues who take phone calls from our members 200,000
Mhm,
times a
mhm.
day. The
Yeah.
phone
Yeah.
rings, they answer the phone, and we provided an AI assistant to every single one of them. So
Mhm.
instead of trying to read PDFs and articles and knowledge documents to be able to
Yes.
address the question that our member is asking, they can
Yes.
ask the question to the AI assistant and be able to provide the answer much faster and with higher accuracy, right? So that solution, building it, starting to get it rolled out, these things now happen in quarters, not years, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
the pace of being able to roll out these solutions is faster, and the payback periods are shorter as well.
Got it. Got it. So 8x in 6 months then, or 12 to 15x in 1 year. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I think many of them, once we implement it and go live, we put out another AI solution. Much like any other large company, we do put out a lot of RFPs. We get responses. A lot of those responses are to our standard set of questions that are important for due diligence, right? They're critically
Yeah.
important for us to ask and get answers. But they're not what differentiates one vendor from the other. They're more,
Mhm.
you have to have this as a baseline for us to work with you. And those types of questions, we now have an AI evaluate the answers, right? We still have human oversight for the one that we
Mhm.
are going to pick. We go back and make sure they met all of our requirements and criteria. But I take that as an example of an AI solution that probably took a couple months to roll out, but the payback is immediate because the moment you put
Yeah.
it out, we are taking thousands of hours out of these RFP processes, right? Because at the scale at which we operate,
Yeah.
there are few thousand proposals that we receive, and all of them somebody had to read these manually, and now we don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Certainly makes a lot of sense. Right at the beginning, you mentioned that insurance business is very, very disproportionately skewed towards unstructured data. And I think you've also said this in the past that building a unified data layer is critical to driving AI initiatives. So tell us a little bit about that. What do you mean, and how does this apply to your business, especially on the insurance side?
Yeah. I would say the data foundation for any of the AI, especially agentic AIs, because we expect them to not just discover the tools that they need to fulfill goals, but also then go and use those tools to work against the data and to truly be able to make an impact with that. I think getting the data foundation right for the company is critically important, even if you're not using the data to train your models, right? For that,
Hmm.
clearly you need your data to be in good shape if you're going to be training your own models. But even outside of training models, to be able to have automation cut across the organization, you have to have the data foundation in a good spot. And for us, because we have multiple lines of business, but really at the heart of all of that is the member, right? We want to think about the financial well-being and the financial security of the member. And that involves using all of our products and applying them in the right life stage and the right circumstances of the life events that our members are going through. And so having that unified view of the member, all the interactions we've had with them, everything we know about them, both things they've told us and things that we can predict about their life stage or what needs they might have. We need to be able to see that horizontally. We need to be able to see that across the entire relationship that we have with the member, to be able to then give them the right advice at the right time, right? To be able to serve them with the right products at the right time. And so the unified data environment, which was a journey we started back in 2022, was all about establishing this horizontal view, cutting across all of our systems and our organizations, which then allows us to put AI solutions that can take advantage of that end-to-end view.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much. So last question on the topic of delivering enterprise value. Very quickly, your thoughts about how do you manage things such as privacy, more importantly, ethics in this area, because as you yourself said that the technology has the potential to run away with against the values.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think critically important dimension of applying any technology solution, specifically AI solutions, is to do that within the rubric of not just the privacy laws and compliance requirements, but also ethics. And I think the construct that we have through the AI Council is, of course, looking at both sides of the coin. We go for an opt-in if we feel like it is something that people might have different kind of preferences over, even if for compliance we could go with an opt-out, but we would rather go with an opt-in, right? If we feel like there's room for individuals to not want to see AI being used in their situation. Transparency plays a key role in it as well, right? So when we do use AI, we want to be transparent about it. We want to explain why we are using AI and what benefit does it provide, right? And certainly we do that as well. And then I think minimizing the use of sensitive data across the organization, there's a lot that can be done that does not even involve sensitive data, right? So I know there's generally a discomfort about these models learning from our data, but if we obfuscate the data, if it's depersonalized, right, even before it is given to the models to consume, then we lower the risk of any of that materializing, right? It's there's a lot that can be gleaned from data that has no PII in it, right? And we always minimize where we use sensitive data. Now, of course, in the last mile to serve the member, we have to bring it back to their situation and their data.
Excellent, wonderful. So if I may sort of summarize all the things you have said so far, number one, business alignment is critical. Obviously, technical excellence is required to deliver this. Therefore, the intake process becomes very important. What is the value versus what's the feasibility? You're seeing short duration, high ROIs in short duration, and therefore making that business case so that you can get the budget to implement this. Creating the data foundation so that you may be able to implement this, and ensuring that we're doing this in the framework of our values and principles. And on that last one, I think a couple of really good sort of tests, right? One is that assume that the consumer is in the room, right? And what would they say when they heard the entire discussion and the plans of what the organization is trying to implement? The other one is, of course, the newspaper test, that if all of this was published on the front page of a national newspaper, how comfortable would you be to to have that published. So fantastic. Really, really enjoyed this. So Ramnik, before I let you go, personal question. Can you tell us 1 to 3 ways in which you are using AI in your daily life? Things that you weren't doing earlier.
Yeah, yeah. So not just me, but our entire workforce, we call it Eagle GPT. That's our
Okay.
AI assistant available to all of our workforce and
Yeah.
with an LLM behind it.
Mm-hmm.
All of us are using that continuously through the course of the day. I personally use deep research a lot,
Okay.
just to understand all of the latest research coming out in AI, but also other technology areas. I think I find it to be particularly a time saver to not have to do a web search and then go website to website or to read entire academic papers that have been published in any of the fields of
Yes.
interest, right? I think AI model architectures are fascinating and fast evolving. I think neurosymbolic AI is going to play a big role in bridging that reliability gap that I was
Yeah.
describing earlier, in giving us more enterprise-ready, reliable solutions. Of course, implementing agentic AI and getting that to perform reliably and transparently in the organization. That's a big part of it. Explainable AI, any of these topics which are kind of at the, call it, bleeding edge right now. I use deep research extensively to be able to understand the latest research findings and techniques that are constantly coming out.
Excellent. Dominique, thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you here, and thank you for sharing so much insight on how you're using AI to create value for your members and for the organization and the communities that you're serving.
No, thank you, Pranay. It was nice chatting with you, and I appreciate you inviting me to your podcast.